Only on 7 News. Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon discovering evidence of hundreds of Colorado rape cases left to sit on shelves collecting dust.
And Keli, you found several police departments are not bothering to test the majority of their rape kits.
That's right. We found many departments say there just aren't enough resources to test every kit. And one police commander even told us incorrectly that he doesn't believe the evidence could help catch serial rapists.
I'm just saying, no, I don't know you. I don't want to do this. I shouldn't be here.
2 years ago, Keli Binder says she was drugged and raped by a man she met at a bar in downtown Denver.
He physically restrained me. And while he was raping me, I said no.
Within hours of the assault, Binder contacted Denver police, who recommended she go to the hospital for a rape kit.
You're laying on this white sheet under these bright lights. Every intimate part, taking photographs and pulling hair out of your head.
Binder says the process felt like a second assault.
The experience was just a nightmare.
The rape kit was given to police, but weeks later, Binder says Denver police told her they couldn't prove she didn't give consent, telling her her rape kit would not be tested to see if her attacker raped anyone else.
I was raped. This man raped me, and they did nothing. They did nothing at all.
And she's not alone. Since 2008, the Denver Police Department has received 1,064 rape kits. The Call 7 investigators found 44% of DPD rape kits have never been tested.
A lot of the rape kits we wind up doing are just to document the trauma and everything else that occurred.
Commander Ron Saunier with Denver Police says many rape kits don't need to be tested.
That comes down to a case-by-case basis. I can't say yes, everyone would.
Saunier says detectives may test rape kits when the suspect is unknown, but rarely test in cases of date rape or domestic sexual assault.
No, we don't test 100% of the cases. Some of those, we don't want to test or we don't need to test.
Even though DPD performs basic screening on more than half their rape kits, that doesn't mean it does all the testing necessary. DPD couldn't tell us how many kits it's tested for DNA, which is crucial to matching offenders in the national database. We asked if that was something worth tracking.
I don't know. I can't see, short of for your story, it's hard to say. I don't know, why that would be something that we need to track.
When I hear those numbers, they're incredibly frustrating to hear about.
Karen Moldovan with the Colorado Coalition Against Sexual Assault says departments need to do a better job testing rape evidence.
Somebody that may have sexually assaulted a friend or a loved one may also have sexually assaulted strangers.
The Fort Collins Police Department sends its rape kits to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Since 2007, Fort Collins collected 243 rape kits, but our investigation found 72% were not tested.
Do you think that more kits should have been sent?
No.
Captain Don Vaggi says in cases where the primary question is if the victim consented, those kits are not tested.
Depends on what the circumstances of the case are. If they know the suspect and the issue is consent or the lack thereof, a sane kit isn't going to typically help with the issue of consent.
And Vaggi claims those rape kits aren't even eligible to be tested and uploaded into CODIS, law enforcement's national DNA database.
If the issue is consent and she knew who the person was, my understanding is that does not get loaded into CODIS.
But we found that's not true. CBI spokesperson Susan Medina says if local agencies send a kit, CBI will enter it into the database.
And then that person could be connected to other cases.
It takes an average of 6 to 9 months for CBI to process rape kits. but it's a service CBI provides free of charge to help local agencies solve crimes.
Justice. We're all seeking justice.
Which raises questions about why agencies like the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department send so few kits.
We don't hold back from sending them. We just don't want to unnecessarily bog down the system at CBI.
Mark Techmeyer says Jefferson County collected 117 rape kits during the last 5 years. But we found 64% of its rape kits have not been tested.
And to send them tests that have absolutely no use whatsoever would be illogical.
How do you think a victim would feel hearing that what's in that rape kit is of no use?
Our victims know.
Do you think that victims deserve more?
I think that victims and survivors deserve absolutely anything we can possibly give to them as a society. So by having this evidence, it can really be helpful in piecing cases together.
At Denver Police, Saunier says his department is doing the best it can.
If there's a rapist out there, I want to do everything in my power to try to catch him. But I also have to realize, you know, that I don't have unlimited resources.
And the fact that my rape kit test was never submitted into the system just allows another predator to go free, to do this again to somebody else.
None of the departments that we spoke with could tell us how many total rape kits were being held in storage or how many total had been tested. And many asked us for thousands of dollars to research that information. States like Texas and Illinois and cities like San Francisco and New York mandate that all rape kits are tested. And the Justice Department is working on best practices for testing. On our website, thedenverchannel.com, we've created interactive charts detailing the numbers of rape kits tested by many Colorado communities.
Now, DNA testing can help police catch criminals, but a Call 7 investigation found police departments across Colorado don't test most rape kits.
But now one agency is changing its policy. Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon first to uncover the problem. And Keli, your story triggering that change.
That's right. That Call 7 investigation found the Fort Collins Police Department was not testing rape kits that should have been tested. Tonight, they're now searching and will soon begin testing years of evidence.
It changes our practices from this point forward.
Fort Collins Police Chief John Hutto reacts to our Call 7 investigation.
You brought something to our attention and when we checked into it, we found out that we could do things better.
Our investigation found 72% of Fort Collins rape kits were not tested.
It really wasn't a question of, wow, we're sending, we're sending too few or we're not sending them appropriately until we learned otherwise.
Investigators initially told us rape kits involving victims who knew the suspect couldn't be tested and entered into CODIS, the National DNA Database.
My understanding is that does not get loaded into CODIS.
That was Captain Don Badgie 2 weeks ago, before the department contacted the Colorado Bureau of Investigation.
After your story, we contacted CBI to make sure that we were, in fact, correct in that assumption and that and what we found out was that we were not.
Now that the department has learned rape kits from known suspect situations can be tested, Chief Hutto says his department will submit the kits in future cases and in old cases too.
We're also going to be taking a look at the kits that we have in evidence right now and seeing what of those fit the criteria, and we'll be sending those as well. Then maybe CODIS will do what it was intended to do, and it will either solve an old case or maybe solve some future case.
Hutto says that it's possible that other police departments may have also misunderstood which rape kits were eligible for testing. We asked CBI if it was re-educating local agencies about the correct policy, but CBI has yet to respond. In the newsroom, I'm Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon.
A call for change after a Call 7 investigation. 7 News uncovering thousands of rape kits left sitting on shelves. Police departments across the state failing to test them.
Now elected officials are looking to take action. Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon live with the new developments. Keli, you found both state and federal laws could change.
That's right. The Fort Collins Police Department has already changed its policy on rape kit testing after our investigation. Now lawmakers are looking for solutions to a problem we uncovered. And there could be new laws on the state and federal level to test rape kits.
I couldn't believe that this was happening and that so many kits had gone untested.
Colorado Speaker of the House Frank McNulty is taking action after our investigation.
The only reason we know about this is because of the 7 News investigation.
We found Colorado police departments leaving thousands of rape kits untested. The DNA of suspected rapists not entered into a federal database, potentially leaving rape victims to undergo an intrusive exam for no reason.
The experience was just a nightmare.
Keli Binder says she was drugged and raped in 2010 by a man she met in a bar.
I was raped. This man raped me. And they did nothing. They did nothing at all.
Do you think if your kit would have been tested, there's a chance that he could have been linked to other crimes?
Definitely.
Our Call 7 investigation uncovered police around the state were not testing rape kits when the suspected offenders were known. In Denver, police did not test 44% of the rape kits they collected since 2008.
No, we don't test 100% of the cases. Some of those, we don't want to test or we don't need to test.
Denver Police Commander Ron Sonyer said when the victim knows the offender and it's a question of consent, the kit is usually not tested.
And to send them tests that have absolutely no use whatsoever would be illogical.
Denver is not alone. Jefferson County Sheriff's spokesman Mark Techmeyer provided data showing his department left 64% of its rape kits untested.
When you have rape kits sitting on a shelf in our local law enforcement offices not being tested, we're missing key opportunities to bring these sexual predators to justice.
Representative McNulty is drafting legislation to require all rape kits be tested.
I intend to introduce it as my first bill of the session to make sure that we get a quick start on it, and my hope is we deal with it expediently and do our part to get these bad guys off the street.
It's unclear how much testing all rape kits would cost, but McNulty says it's worth it.
From my perspective, we need to spend what we need to spend to protect the victims of sexual assault.
Is it a question of resources or is it a question of will?
On the federal level, U.S. Senator Michael Bennet introduced legislation in May that he says will increase the number of kits that get tested.
The least we could do is to test those.
Bennet is co-sponsoring legislation to change the requirements of a federal DNA analysis grant. Currently, the grant mandates departments use at least 40% of the grant money to test rape kits. Bennet wants to increase that requirement to 75%.
This federal money ought to be used to test these rape kits, and we don't want it to be wasted on other things.
I don't think that anybody should have to go through what I went through.
What do you think needs to be done?
I think that they need to test every rape kit.
Bennet says at this point he doesn't believe the federal government should mandate that all kits be tested. But if McNulty's bill passes, there would be a mandate to test all kits in Colorado. Bennett's bill also provides money to track rape kits, which our investigation found was often not happening in Colorado. Live in the newsroom, I'm Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon.
And Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon was there for the signings today. One of the bills signed today addressing a problem with rape kit testing that you had pointed out to us.
That's right. Governor Hickenlooper today signed a bill sparked by our investigation that found thousands of rape kits in Colorado were never tested.
Marking the end of another year of Colorado's legislative session, Governor John Hickenlooper signs dozens of bills into new laws. But one of those matters more than the rest for rape survivor Keli Binder.
I was raped. This man raped me.
Last November, our investigation found police departments around the state failed to test thousands of rape kits. Binder's rape kit was one of those never tested.
It allows us to reduce the backlog.
House Bill 1020 will create statewide standards for testing rape kits, requiring police to submit the evidence from sexual assault victims to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for testing. The bill also aims to eliminate the state's backlog of untested rape kits.
Allows rapidly a process to go and come to a conclusion that is very emotionally traumatic, and I think will dramatically increase our probability of apprehending, violent criminals.
Binder says she's thankful that more victims will now have a chance at justice.
I think that they need to test every rape kit.
The Department of Public Safety now has 6 months to develop statewide rules and timeframes for rape kit testing. We'll let you know when those rules are complete. Reporting live, I'm Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon.
The Call 7 investigators uncovering violent crimes not being prosecuted. Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon is live.
And Kelly, you have found this is a significant problem in Denver.
That's right. Our investigation found in Denver, 36% of felony cases are not prosecuted. And even more surprising, more than 70% of felony sex assaults aren't prosecuted either. We wanted to know why.
I was scared. I was confused.
2 years ago, a night Michelle wishes she could forget.
There are parts I very vividly remember, but there are also parts that I had to blink out.
She was 16 years old, traveling with her classmates back to high school in Garfield County. But bad weather canceled their flight, forcing them to spend the night in a Denver hotel.
One of the boys bought alcohol, and we drank, and I'd never drinking before.
That night, Michelle says 2 boys she thought were her friends held her down and raped her.
I was crying, and at one point one of them said, maybe we should stop. I feel like we're raping her. And the other guy, he just responded, no, she's just a virgin, so she's emotional. She'll be fine.
3 days later, she reported the attack to the Garfield County Sheriff's Department, who transferred the case to Denver police. But that's when Michelle says the investigation seemed to stall.
No one, as far as I know, contacted any of the witnesses that I had. When I spoke to a detective once, and I was pretty much told that there wasn't much that could be done.
1 year later, she received the call. The Denver District Attorney's Office had declined to prosecute her case.
That was devastating for me.
And she's not alone. The Call 7 investigators analyzed the Denver DA's own data, finding Denver declines to prosecute 36% of all felony cases presented by police. And when it comes to felony sexual assaults, 71% are declined.
I know what victims deserve. I've been doing this for 30 years.
For months, through emails and phone calls, we requested an on-camera interview with Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey.
We've tried for 5 months to interview with you.
To you off camera.
Each time, he refused. So we found him outside of work.
More than happy to talk to you off camera, answer any questions that you have.
But when we met in the District Attorney's office for the off-camera discussion, Morrissey and his spokeswoman had a camera of their own.
So we can document the conversation. So then why can't we document the conversation?
Do you want to have this conversation or not?
Well, we're just trying to make sure that we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. You're off camera, we're on camera. If you don't want to do it this way, then I got other things to do. So it's up to you.
We obtained their video through open records laws so you could hear Morrissey's explanation for deciding not to prosecute hundreds of cases.
Well, we don't do it based on statistics. We do it on a case-by-case analysis.
Then the question is, why are so many individual cases not being accepted?
Well, we review the cases with a standard of a reasonable likelihood of conviction.
Morrissey never agreed to sit down for our on-camera interview, but told us comparing jurisdictions is meaningless, especially when Denver has a quarter of the violent crime in Colorado.
Denver is a lot different than a lot of places in this country, certainly different than a lot of places in this state. So the fact that our numbers are different does not surprise me at all.
So when you say that they're different, what do you mean?
There's no Lodo in most towns in Denver, in Colorado. That's a significant difference.
What does that mean?
There's no lower downtown where you have a large population of young people drinking and engaging in what goes on down in Lodo.
That, to me, is an excuse. It's not a reason.
Chris Michio is a former New York City prosecutor who worked sexual assault cases. She's now a University of Denver law professor.
What do you think they're going to need?
She says Denver's low prosecution rates are unacceptable.
It's unconscionable to me that those statistics exist in this county.
And what does that say to the victim?
It says to the victim, we don't give a damn.
Well, Michio says prosecutors have an obligation to only accept cases when there's reasonable likelihood of conviction, which Morrissey says he does. Those decisions are very subjective.
Prosecutors are looking for the perfect case. And that's not the way the system should operate. And that's not the way the system is operated in other jurisdictions.
We obtained data from 7 Front Range judicial districts and 3 similar-sized counties across the country. They all rejected fewer cases than Denver. Though many weren't able to break out felony sex assault rates, Jefferson County was one that could.
And we want to be aggressive in these cases.
District Attorney Peter Weir says in the last 3 years, his office declined to prosecute 8% of felony cases presented by police and 29% of felony sex assaults.
Our process is to do a thorough analysis of each of the cases based on its merits.
Though Weir would not comment directly on Denver and its process, he said he would want to know if his office was refusing that many cases.
We always have to realize that no matter how well we're doing a job, there's always room for improvement.
We are not going to lower the ethical standards in this office because you have some statistics that I haven't seen, haven't been able to analyze, and can't determine if somebody is using a different standard. But we're not going to change that standard.
The system often just re-victimizes the victim, and it's hard to move on when nothing's being done.
Michelle says she feels like her case is like so many others in Denver. Prosecution declined, her day in court denied.
I had evidence, I had witnesses, and to know that something like that's dropped and to know that that's happening to so many other people is just, it's horrible.
Denver police reopened Michelle's case after we started asking questions, and Morrissey says any sex assault cases that are declined must be signed off on by 2 prosecutors. Now you can watch the entire video of our meeting with Morrissey on thedenverchannel.com. I'm Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon.
The Call 7 investigators uncovering new information on the prosecution of felonies in Denver. Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon breaking the story of high case refusal rates by the Denver District Attorney's Office. Now, Keli, you found a possible reason.
Mike, we found Denver DA Mitch Morrissey's office declines more than 70% of the felony sex assaults police bring to his office. Now there are questions about whether his bar for filing charges is too high.
My fear is that meritorious cases are falling through the cracks.
University of Denver professor and former New York City prosecutor Chris Michio is concerned that so many reported crimes in Denver aren't resulting in criminal charges.
There may be complainants out there who had a case, who needed their day in court, and they didn't get it.
2 weeks ago, a Call 7 investigation revealed the Denver District Attorney declines to prosecute 36% of all felony cases and 71% of felony sexual assaults, a rate higher than any other judicial district we examined in Colorado and across the country.
Well, we don't do it based on statistics.
In that story, we weren't able to ascertain the reason why, but Michio says the office may be refusing cases that aren't a slam dunk.
It's a very, very high standard, as it should be, for the trial.
We interviewed Michio for our initial investigation. But before the story even aired, the district attorney's spokeswoman contacted her, attempting to discredit our story and the statistics the DA provided us.
In that conversation, I learned that at the front end, at the intake stage, the district attorney's office doesn't use reasonable likelihood of success, but beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the trial standard.
Beyond a reasonable doubt. You've heard that when it comes to a jury deciding the case. But Michio says DAs should use the lower standard of likelihood of success in deciding whether to file charges. If they don't, too many cases would never get to a charge or a jury.
My question to the DA is, Why are you putting the reasonable doubt standard at the front end before you have most of the information that you need?
And in discussions and emails with Call 7 investigators, DA officials seem to use both standards interchangeably. In this email to Call 7, the DA's spokeswoman, Lynn Kimbrough, says, quote, "The standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt has been the filing standard of the Denver District Attorney's Office for pretty much forever." And in a recent meeting with Call 7 investigators recorded by the DA and obtained by 7 News, Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey says it too, then changes his story.
It's done by a case-by-case analysis to determine if we can prove the charges, whatever charges they are, beyond a reasonable doubt, with a reasonable likelihood of conviction.
Morrissey later says his prosecutors follow the standard recommended by the National District Attorneys Association, which is reasonable likelihood of success. That's the standard other Colorado district attorneys use, like Jefferson County DA Peter Weir.
It's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is our ultimate standard at trial. But at the initial screening of a case, the standard is a reasonable likelihood for success at trial.
Michio, who prosecuted sex crimes, says the reasonable doubt standard, especially early on, may result in offenders going free and victims left without justice.
I'm sure that the people of the state of Colorado and Denver County would like to know why the statistic is the way it is. What is your process in terms of intake?
Like for our initial story, Morrissey would not interview about his filing standards. His office issued a statement that in part said, quote, "The filing standard of having a reasonable likelihood of conviction to file a case is reached when we believe that we can prove the charge to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. These are not mutually exclusive." We also talked to some former prosecutors who believed Morrissey's standard is the correct one, while others thought that it was too stringent, especially at intake of the case. Live in the newsroom, I'm Call 7 investigator Keli Rabon.